The situation at the end of January 18th seems to have both armies in a very similar position. I'm assuming it's the blizzard and the attrition that that's causing. Because as I flipped the turn over to my opponent and received it back, and now that we're staring at January 25th, 1942, there's, other than minor troop movement behind the lines, nothing's changed. There's been no battles along this entire front, and I definitely needed that. As we move down to the Black Sea, he continues to tighten his noose along the little pocket that I've been trying to escape troops out of. There is an infantry division that's crossed the Caucasus mountain range into modern-day Georgia. For now, that appears to be the only thing that he has crossing. I do expect more to follow, but at least for the first half of February, I'm not expecting too much combat here. I could easily be proven wrong on that. But taking a look at the turn summary screen, the lack of combat's definitely helped. 16,000 men lost, 100 guns. All this can be replaced with what Russia produces in a week. It's the 100,000 on-map changes that I need. So now it's just a matter of trying to figure out where they went. To figure that out, I turn to the freight screen in the logistics report. And this is where my Excel spreadsheet comes in handy, because just staring at this list of unorganized armies doesn't really help. So I then have to recite to that, and it's there that I see that the 59th Army, which got 32,000 men, is under Stavka. It is good to learn this, even if it is in the second year of the war. Also, some quality of life improvements could be made to how these screens are laid out, but that's a whole nother side note. Besides that, the main conundrum that I have with this turn is the on-map vehicles. I have a 1,000 point drop, even though when I look at the losses, being that this is a turn with 0 battles, I only have 19. So I did have 6 tank divisions turn into tank brigades, but I was under the impression that that would just return to the Poles, and maybe it did. But if that was the case, then I'm kind of curious why they didn't get to my reserves into all these separate tank battalions and brigades and whatnot. Or is that going to happen next turn? Regardless of the discrepancies and the nuances of this game, which I'm still trying to wrap my mind around, my main goal, which is slowly forming into a shape, is to even out my fronts to where the northwestern front down to Kalinin into the Bryansk maintains the front lines duties, and my assault front, being the center front, is not stuck spending weeks at a time defending terrain. I want them back, replenishing, and then attacking is the idea. So to do this is going to take some time, and that's why I decided to start in January to accomplish this. But the one thing I did notice is the 4th Shock Army here does have an airborne brigade. 2 of them, actually. So I decided to bring in a 3rd one because I believe it's March where you get to start forming the Guards units. And they have the higher morale, better fighting units, ideally. So I'm going to start preparing that with these various airborne brigades that I do have sitting in the reserves. I'm not sure where I'm going to send them all, but one of them's definitely going to the northwest front here by Kalinin. I'm definitely going to be bringing 3 of these brigades to Stalingrad to form a Guards unit there. I did retreat my other Guards unit. It's now sitting at a depot trying to get some reinforcements. That would bring 2 to the area. Not sure that's enough. Might change my plans on that through the next couple weeks, but I do have till sometime in March. I'm not 100% sure on when I'm able to start building my own Guards infantry divisions. Addressing Georgia, well, the eastern side of Georgia, the city of Grozny, the terrain's just not suitable for me. So I'm going to focus on this line of hills and mountains, and I'm going to try to link up with those units that I'm saving southward eventually to really try to protect this eastern side of Georgia along the Caspian Sea. Thankfully, down here by Baku, either I did this earlier and I forget, or this is some form of like automatic rival units. But the 47th Army is here, and it's going to be the main leadership for this area. That hopefully will allow them to refit as they dig in. And then the units that are westward along that river by Maikop and Krasnodar will slowly retreat this direction. The idea is to make this a defensible position into the summer and to just force him to use troops down here as opposed to crossing and taking Stalingrad quickly. The other area of geography that I have to make an issue for him is here in western Georgia. The Black Sea cannot be given up willingly. So I do have these units here. I'm hoping he didn't expect to run into them. I'm going to land the units that I brought out last turn and then try to get them into position. Not really, time's not on my side, so I'm not going to be able to dig into like level 2 forts. But hopefully, with what he's trying to do in his mop-up duties, delays him, and I at least get to some level 1 forts in these mountains, because that's got to be... This has to be something that takes him time. So it cannot be March 1st and he has the entire Black Sea under the Axis flag. Thankfully, I'm still able to get units out via the sea. I didn't run any naval patrols, so this was just me just kind of throwing them out there. I'm not sure what my enemy did in the air. I didn't pay attention to that at all, to be totally honest. I spent this turn modernizing some of my aircraft, so I grounded everything. But I did get another mountain division out. It's badly damaged, so I'm going to have to spend time refitting it, but it's better than it surrendering. All in all, as I take a look at the bird's eye perspective, I am content with the situation that I'm looking at. This gives me 6 to 8 weeks to prepare for his spring offensive. And if I had to guess, besides his main targets being Stalingrad and Saratov, his main push is either going to go towards Kalinin, but I think it's more likely that it's from Tula. And the reason I feel this is the terrain is completely wide open and clear. So I have begun to build fortifications and dig in along the river going east from Moscow. This is also why it's so important for me to get the Central Front off of the front line. I need it back, built back up, and in a position to counterattack where things open up come April. The south here is where most of the changes happened this week. Obviously, my pocket is getting increasingly smaller as I withdraw most of my troops from it. And I've kind of bent back due east of Rostov. Mostly because I don't have the manpower and the terrain there is just absolutely hideous for me with my current makeup of my army. Although I do have some cavalry corps coming up there, albeit they are kind of weak. But I do hand it off to my opponent. I'm hopeful to get it back. This would have been much faster if it wasn't for the holidays, but I did enjoy them. So now we will progress into what will be mostly a building up period in February of 1942.